Good morning, everybody. Well, Jasper here. Hey, whoa, September, what is it? Well, it's Sunday. It's September the 5th, I think. 5th or 6th, anyhow. Labor Day weekend, Sunday. We are at the base of the Niagara Escarpment. Yep, we are back on our home territory, our home trails, the Bruce Trail, Blue Mountain section. Starting the climb up the escarpment as we make a day hike, somewhere around 25-30 kilometers. I forget, but I do have my trusty Garmin Phoenix 3 HR watch tracking us, so I'll know at the end of the day. It's been a couple of months since I did this particular day hike, and I forget. I do forget. More and more I forget. But anyhow, in this case, I forget how far it is. Somewhere around 25-30 kilometers. Beautiful, beautiful day. Mixed bag of cookies out there. Rain last night. Today, I think it's supposed to be cloudy, sunny, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then a rainy week, I think. Anyhow, woo! Lots to talk about today. This particular video is really all about the fact that, well, we've just returned a week ago from our through hike of the Colorado Trail. 800 kilometers over the US Rockies, state of Colorado, Denver to Durango. Absolutely and totally amazing hike. And what this particular video is all about is, hey, what worked and what did not work as far as gear is concerned. Sure, we talk a lot about gear. We prep a lot for gear. We train a lot for the hikes. So we should have our gear fairly, pretty much, kind of, sort of dialed in. Well, not always the case. But yes, training, practicing with your gear is paramount, and we do a lot of that, and it does pay off. And it paid off on this particular hike that we did, the Colorado Trail, and it's paid off in the past on others. But we are going to talk a bit today about what gear worked, what didn't, what I would change, what I wouldn't, what I hated, what I loved. Generally speaking, most things did work out well. However, there was a few things that maybe did not. And there was one thing that was absolutely garbage. But anyhow, we're going to talk about more. Oh yeah, we're going to talk more about that as the day hike progresses. Also, up and coming plans. We're talking about plans today. What comes next? What comes next for Jasper? What trails? Other than, of course, our local day and overnight and 2 or 3 night and section hikes and so on the Bruce, again, which is our own territory. But what comes next? We're going to talk about that today too. Right now, let's take a look at this country road, the trail ahead of us as we climb the escarpment. Let's take a look. The climb up the Niagara Escarpment along the 6th Street Extension 12 concession is always a good climb. I don't know, 800, 900 feet of elevation gain. We know this climb well. We do a lot of training on this climb or on this section. But yeah, it's always a good start off to the day. Okay, getting into the gear that worked and did not work. And we have got lots and lots and lots to talk about. And only a little bit of time, one day, that's it, to talk about it. Whew. So we better get at it. Gear that worked. Let's start positive. Gear that worked. Well, in all truthfulness, most things I have in my gear equipment list worked impeccably well. We won't go into too many details, but we'll list everything that worked real well, and we'll list them now. Footwear, Ultra Lone Peak 4.0s, perfect. Dirty Girl Gators, perfect. Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2 shelter, my tent, perfect. That kept me through warm and dry through some terrible storms. My Patagonia 850 fill power long down sleeping bag. Huh. Woo-wee. Toasty warm, perfect. My sleeping garments, my Mountain Warehouse leggings, awesome. Wool socks cannot be replaced, although we're going to talk about socks because we do have a complaint. Cook system, woo, Optimus Terra Heat Exchange pot with cup lid, perfect. Pocket Rocket, MSR Pocket Rocket burner, perfect. I don't know. Thermarest, oh, NeoAir ultralight sleeping pad, perfect. My Tyvek footprint, perfect. By the way, keep in mind, if you do not already know this, and you should, almost every shelter tent requires nowadays a footprint. A footprint will give protection to the bathtub or ground sheet of your tent. It will also protect things such as your air pad by having one extra layer of protection between the ground and you. It gives a form of insulation. Footprints, super important. Now, the footprint that comes with, or not comes with, but is an option with my Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2 tent is 105 Canadian dollars from MEC, plus shipping and tax. Now, just in case you didn't know this, I use Tyvek. Tyvek is the strongest, most durable, best insulating, waterproof, protective footprint you can get for the price. I sell these for $20 Canadian. That includes shipping to anywhere in Canada. From me, you can get a Tyvek sheet that's just slightly bigger than a two-man tent, and you can trim to the size of your particular tent, be it a two-man or a one-man tent. You get ample material to do that. The Tyvek sheet, I believe, is the best and least expensive footprint you can get. If you're interested in purchasing one of those from me, from Jasper, and it goes a long way to supporting my channel if you do, because my photography gear, especially what I'm using right now, is not cheap. So for $20, e-transfer to trailnamejasper@gmail.com. That's trailnamejasper@gmail.com. Name, phone number, email address, mailing, shipping address. $20 Canadian. Total load, and I will send you one out by return mail. That's a sheet of Tyvek, large enough for a two-man tent, obviously large enough for a one-man tent. You trim it to the size you want with a pair of household scissors, very simple. And again, the cheapest and best protection you'll get. And again, if you order one of those from me, it goes a huge, long way supporting my channel. Okay, what else worked fine? Pretty much most things. The backpack, my Osprey Exos 58, amazing. Comfortable, strong, solid, durable. Does the job amazingly. And at 2.5 pounds, it's considered the top end of the ultralight backpacks. Wow. I think this climb's got bigger since I was away. I think they added to it. Okay. I'm sure there's other things that I wanted to talk about in what worked well. Oh, my Nightcore NU25 headlamp. Amazing, great. Uses very little power. I recharged it once a week, that was it. And yet I used it every night for several hours. Super lightweight, super durable, and super efficient. Highly recommended. That's the Nightcore NU25 headlamp. Okay, in a minute, we're gonna come back with what didn't work. Whew. But I gotta get to this hill here because it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh yeah. Made it to the top of the escarpment. Back in the forest. And the most amazing Bruce Trail. Yeah, Blue Mountain section. Heading southbound today. Again, 25 to 30 kilometer round, so it's an in and out. We're heading to the Osler Bluff and returning the same way that we came. Again, a hike we've done many times, but it's a local, it's a staple, it's part of my training ground, it's part of my training routine. So yeah, that is where we are. That is what we're doing, as well as talking about the gear that worked and the gear that did not work. 1 week after returning from our Colorado Trail through hike. A hike that we'd planned for about 2 years or more, but due to that pesky bug showing up and just destroying so many people's lives and worlds, and continues to do so, unfortunately, my plans, like millions of other people's, was put on hold. But we did eventually accomplish the task, and I'm delighted that we did. Okay, rather than again looking at my ugly mug, let's chit-chat about things that did not work very well for me on the Colorado Trail as we head down the Blue Mountain section of the Bruce Trail. Okay, so what did not work? Well, the number one major, dismal, miserable, total and complete failure was a piece of equipment that, in all truthfulness, I was reluctant to try. But I did use it on my Oak Ridges through hike. That was a through hike of 270 kilometers here in Ontario that I did. I completed that about 2 weeks before I started the Colorado Trail. I did that with my good friend Andre. You all remember Andre. He's a Pacific Crest Trail through hiker, crown holder, class of 2019. And he likes, for water filtration, and that's what we're talking about right now, that's what the dismal failure was, he likes the Katadyn Be-Free filter. And he spoke so highly of it that I really did want to try it, and I kind of got a deal, if you will, which was on a Cabela's, like the Bass Pro Shop at Cabela's in Barrie, Ontario. And it was, you get 2 filters and a bag, and like a water collection bag, and it was around 50 bucks, something like that. So I ended up grabbing one of those, and The first filter I used on I think it was the Blue Mountains, when I did the Blue Mountain section end to end back earlier this year. That was kind of a 2-night, 2.5 day, 2-night end to end section hike of the Blue Mountain section of the Bruce Trail. I used the Catadyne Be-Free as my water filtration. And what I noticed right off the bat was I was having issues with it. At the beginning, it would not filter anything. I could not get water to flow through it. But then after a particular period of time and shaking it around and so on, I did start to get a flow through, and I was able to filter water. Fine. That happened over and over again with that first filter. So I figured, okay, maybe this particular filter is faulty. It's got an issue. It's not supposed to work like this. It's supposed to give you great flow. I'm talking, 30 seconds for a 1 liter filtration. Very quick, very powerful kind of flow rate. So for the Oak Ridges Trail, I kind of struggled through with it. At the end of it, I just discarded that particular filter thinking it was defective. And I went to the second one, which was brand new, which I used for the Colorado Trail. Well, from the get-go, it was fine. Right at the beginning, it was filtering water just the way it should. But very, very, very quickly, the rate of flow of water was reduced immensely. Now, I understand totally and completely about keeping your water filtration filter clean. I know how to do it. I read the manual, I study the YouTube videos, and I practice making my filter, keeping my filters clean, regardless, whether it's Sawyer, whether it's Catadyne, whatever it is. And I cleaned by using the shake method, religiously, the Catadyne Be-Free filter. I cleaned it with filtered water. I wasn't using dirty water. I was using filtered water. And I would clean it and shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. I would shake it till the cows come home. But it still progressively got lesser and lesser and lesser flow. And I'm talking within a week, the first week. After the first week, I arrived at Breckenridge into the hostel, the Bivy Hostel in Breckenridge, which was amazing, by the way. Highly recommend the Bivouac Hostel in Breckenridge. But anyhow, there, I could fill a sink of water and use what they call the swish method for cleaning, which I did. And I swished and swished and swished, and I shaked and shaked and shaked, and I swished and swished and swished till the cows came home. I'm talking 30, 40, 45 minutes of cleaning the filter. And I did manage to get an ever so slightly better flow out of it, but nowhere near what it should have been, especially only after a week of filtering essentially mountain stream water, which is pretty clean to begin with. So, cut a long story short, at the end of my hike, the Catadyne had, again with cleaning all the time, had come to such a slow pace that the last 2.5 liters of water I needed on trail to get me home, to get me finished, took me about 30 minutes to filter. 25 minutes anyhow. It's on the videos. By the way, the videos for the Colorado Trail will be starting to get uploaded and published shortly. Quite a bit of work because that was a pretty major trail, and it was so spectacular that right now I'm working on the still images that were all taken with my GoPro Hero 9. So I'm working with those in Lightroom right now to get the best image from a GoPro that I can possibly get as a photographer, using my editing kind of skills and so on and knowledge to try to create the best digitally displayed image, and yet with such a small sensor of an action cam that's not really even designed to capture still images, although it does. So we have to keep that in mind. It's work in progress. It takes a little bit of time, but I'm going to make the videos the best I possibly can and the still images the best I possibly can. So when we upload each and every one of those videos, it'll be something worth watching, something interesting, something entertaining. At least I hope so anyhow. And for me personally, be great memories. Okay, so yeah, the number one first failure and the number one failure was the Katadyn Be Free. No doubt about it. I am back to soya squeeze, which by the way, on that particular trail, there was some people using the Katadyn, but for every one person that used the Katadyn, there was 10 people using the soya squeeze. The soya squeeze was the number one filter on trail, and there's a reason for that. Although, keep in mind, if and when you buy a soya filter, you do need to upgrade the bag. The bag soya sends with its filter is garbage. You need to go with the knock bag. Check it out, have a look online, test your gear as always, make sure it's working correctly and durably before you actually go head out on a through hike. Okay, yeah. Number two. What was number two? Was there a number two? Well, unfortunately, there was a number two. The number two was my Darn Tough socks. The Darn Tough sock, it's a merino wool. It's called Darn Tough, of course. It's a company. They warranty their socks for life. They're not cheap. They're like 29, 30, 31, 27, depending on the model you get. Dollars, Canadian dollars here in Canada. They're not cheap, but they are, again, probably the number one through hiker's sock is the Darn Tough sock. And my Darn Toughs failed miserably. These are the ones my daughter bought me for Christmas. And they wore through on the soles and they wore through on the toes. Clear, clean-cut holes, as you can, plainly see in the socks, both socks. So, because they have the lifetime warranty, I will be contacting them this week and expecting my replacement pair of Darn Tough socks. That also happened with Icebreaker merino wool socks with a lifetime warranty, and they did replace them very quickly. So we'll get to test the Darn Tough guarantee and see how that's working. Starting to get a few fall colors, look. As a photographer, this year I'm going to be home and not on trail for the fall color season here in Ontario, which is amazing. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to Gary Clayton Photography. That's my photography video channel, YouTube channel, and because we are gonna have some very interesting and amazing videos coming up soon on photographing the fall colors here in Ontario. Yeah, Gary Clayton Photography on YouTube. Check it out. Okay. First break of the day. You know what? Thinking about trails, somebody did ask me a while back, what were my favorite trails? And it's really hard to say. One little thing about the trails is each one has its own kind of character, its own likes, dislikes, wants, desires, and so on. And I think so much is in the eye of the beholder. It's like anything else. What one person likes, another person doesn't, for whatever reasons. I've always been partial to the Bruce Trail. I mean, I enjoy the Bruce Trail. I've thru-hiked the Bruce Trail. I've yo-yoed the Bruce Trail. And I will do again. In fact, we're going to talk about that later. But yeah, I was just thinking about that. What's my favorite trail? I can't say I have a favorite trail. They all have their draws, their interests, their beauties. Such as people say to me, what's the best place or the best section of the nicest section of the Bruce Trail? You know what? Each and every section has its own beauty. A lot of people will say, oh, I like the Northern Peninsula. I don't like the southern areas in the cities, but you know what? When you're stealth camping and you're watching the city lights over Hamilton kind of go from daytime to dusk, it's It's beautiful. And as the night falls and the lights just kind of brighten, it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, it's just a little thought there. Break time. Coffee. Some arrowroot cookies, and I just ate a bar. A new one, a different one, but I didn't like it, so we're not going to talk about that. But some cookies, coffee, break time, and then we're going to get going down the trail. The day progresses fine. We're actually getting closer and closer to the actual bluff itself and our kind of spot where we'll take our lunch break. And for that we have some fruit, yogurt, granola. I think I still have some cookies, some coffee, electrolyte water, and so on. So that's what we'll be having for lunch. Anyhow, so continuing. This is very rocky here. Continuing with our day, and whoa, that was a big tree branch that just happened to get in my way. Continuing with today's theme, we're now at the point of, well, what comes next for Jasper? Well, oh boy, there's so much out there. As you know, we've talked about the Appalachian. We've talked about the Arizona. After doing the Colorado, it's almost also pricked my interest in the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail. However, still a problem with the Crown Trails is the amount of time. I just don't think, I don't see how I can spend that amount of time right now anyhow without any kind of income. When I come back off a through hike like now, I have to go back to work and start earning money again, which I will be doing. Anyhow, Another thing, thinking of something, and this does kind of fall into the category of what comes next, is post-trail kind of depression. And what that means is, and I am, for the very first time, I've experienced it before, but mildly. This time much more significantly. Much worse a case of post-trail depression. And what that means is, day after day, week after week on trail becomes a lifestyle. And you're out on trail, you're in the wilderness, you're camping every night, you're filtering water, you prepare your food, you're going to towns when you get to them and you resupply at resupply points. And eventually, at some point, you might take a zero, get a hot bath, do your laundry. But pretty much every day, you're laying down miles. It's a lifestyle. It's not for everybody. Few bugs out today. Not for everybody. But it certainly is for me. And having come off the trail now, finishing the Colorado, I thought to myself on my way home, I got to sit pretty much all day, well, all day, 12 hours on a bus, 2 buses. One Mustang bus from Durango to Grand Junction, and then the second Mustang bus, which is like part of Greyhound really, from Grand Junction to Denver. It was about 12 hours on the bus. Then I had to wait overnight in the airport, which I did, get my COVID test the next morning, which I did, and that afternoon, courtesy of my amazing daughter Amanda, I had a first-class ticket on Air Canada from Denver to Toronto, a non-stop first-class flight, which was amazing. And again, that was courtesy of my daughter. But all that gave me time to ponder and think. And I came away, arriving in Toronto, thinking, rather, I'm not done with the Colorado Trail, or the Colorado Trail is not done with me. It's almost like you have a nice meal and then for dessert, it's a nice piece of chocolate cake with some ice cream. And you're halfway through the chocolate cake and ice cream, and for some reason you have to go. The chocolate cake and ice cream is taken away from you. You feel, I'm not finished yet. Well, it's that kind of feeling about the Colorado Trail. It's a feeling as, I'm not finished yet. Oh, I've through hiked it from one end to the other. Done that. But I still had the feeling of, the trail is not done with me yet. And that brings to mind a yo-yo. Is a possibility of a Colorado Trail yo-yo in the future? Well, could be. That's for sure. I would definitely do that trail again. Anyhow. However, I'm staying in Canada for the next foreseeable future until such times as there's a change made to the COVID testing laws, or prices primarily. I spent 600 Canadian dollars. So that's 600 Canadian dollars on COVID tests to satisfy the requirements of travel. Granted, my choice. It's also my choice now not to travel out of Canada until at such time as those COVID restrictions or rules are changed, made less expensive, or eliminated. So having said that, again, what's next? Well, we still have the Rideau Trail to do in Ontario. And I actually thought about doing it now, like this week coming, starting it. It's about 16 days, 400 kilometers, Kingston to Ottawa. I could probably do that. But I really do need to get back to work, earn a bit of money, this kind of thing. Keep the coffers kind of, you know, topped up a little bit. I'll get them topped up a little bit. So I thought, well, I don't necessarily need to do the Raidu this year. And it also brings to mind, what about next year? Well, if the rules have not changed, then for sure next summer I would do the Bruce Trail again. I enjoy the Bruce Trail, no doubt about it. I've thru hiked the Bruce Trail, I've yo-yoed the Bruce Trail. We got lots of that documented on our videos. Please check those out. But yes, would I do the Bruce again? Of course I would. I enjoy the Bruce. Again, it's a lifestyle. You are living on trail. You're camping, filtering water, hiking every day after day, week after week, from Niagara Falls to Tobermory. It's a great trail. It's challenging, and I have no problems through hiking that again, or at least attempting another through hike of it, which would be the actual 4th through hike of that trail. So there's that to think about. Also, I've really thought a lot more about the West Island Way in Scotland, and that finishes just south of UK's highest mountain, Ben Nevis, which means a through hike of the West Island Way, finishing off with a summiting of Ben Nevis, or a summiting attempt anyhow. Again, it's UK's highest mountain. That would be quite an adventure for that through hike and that mountain summiting. That's not a big trail by any means. I think it's only about something like 160, 170 kilometers for the trail. And then, of course, whatever the summiting of Ben Nevis would be. So I'd be looking at maybe a 2-week time span in Scotland. And April, I'm told, is a good time to do that. So that is really, really, really on my bucket list of things coming up to do next. But again, I can't see myself leaving Canada until the prices for the COVID tests or the restrictions are reduced a little bit more, just to alleviate that expense, because $600 for the COVID tests is just way too expensive, I think. Anyhow, so if I get to leave Canada, the West Island Way is high on my priority list, again followed by the summiting of Ben Nevis. And if I stay in Canada, then we have the Raidu to look at very seriously, and we also have another through hike attempt of the Bruce Trail. So that, in a nutshell, is what is coming up over the next wee while. Over the rest of the remaining summer and fall and winter here in Ontario will be my day hikes, my overnight hikes, my section hikes when able, and my continuing daily kind of hiking that I do, such as a day hike like today, for instance. This happens all the time. This is an all the time thing for me. Not a now and then thing, not a sometime thing, but it's an all the time thing for me. So yeah, that really sums up what comes next. And in a nutshell, I'm just not sure what it is that comes next, but we'll have to see. We're coming to a trailhead here, and this I think is the 6th line. You can see a marker on that pole to the left indicating a left turn. A Kia automobile parked in the parking area of the trailhead. Here we're going to make the left turn. Oh, and bikes, people biking and hiking probably, which is just fine. And we go down this particular part of the trail, and this is going to take us to, well, there'll be a right turn at the bottom of this, and then that's going to take us through the forest to the actual bluff itself, where we'll have lunch, take a break, and then head back exactly the way we came. Okay, let's keep going. We have made it to the Osler Bluff. I'm sure, very sure, that if you even remotely follow my channel, you know exactly where we are. This is my turnaround point, The famous kind of rocks right here that I sit on, my pack. I'm going to have my lunch there. And then just through here, there's a big area for the fire pit. Just through here, a lot of locals will come. I want to show you. Locals will come and have a big fire here and roast their hot dogs and have a camp. Several little camp spots. For instance, right down here, perfect little camp spot for the night. There's others further down there that are good camp spots for the night. Over here, nice camp spot right there, maybe for a UL1, like a one-man tent. And again, the fire pit itself. Hey, pretty cool, pretty amazing. I just passed a hiking group. It's a group of ladies, and they're called the Healthy Hiking Group. Administrated and kind of organized by PCT hiker class of 19, Linda Murphy, local girl from Collingwood. Chatted with those girls for a while, always good. Hey, I am ready for my fruit, yogurt, and granola. By the way, a couple of other things to mention before I forget. Well, first of all, the hike goes really well. As you know, we're on our way back, almost to the point where we can have a little break on those rocks. Same rocks that we had a break on the way to the bluff. But a couple of items that I am selling. And the reason I'm mentioning them here is because when I sell something, first of all, I always offer good deals and like warranted brand new items. Okay, so anyhow, what I have for sale is a Garmin InReach Mini. This is brand new. These sell for $4.99, $5.29, sometimes on sale for $4.69. This is brand new, never activated, never used. $325. That is an exceptional deal for a brand new Garmin InReach Mini. If you're not sure what that is, well, if you're considering being a thru hiker, it's an essential piece of equipment. This is what's going to first of all keep you safe with the SOS. It allows you to communicate via satellite with loved ones and friends, and many other things. Track your position, send out pings, mapping, all kinds of stuff. It's the Garmin InReach Mini. So it's a small one, it's the lightweight. I think it weighs about 3.5 ounces. Perfect for thru hiking. It's brand new, as I say, $325. The second item that I have for sale that is also brand new is a food bear bag. This is the Ursack. It's the large size. This is what you put your food in to protect yourself or protect your food from bears. Bears, because they have no thumbs, cannot get into this particular bag. It's made from Kevlar, same thing they make bulletproof vests from, and bears simply cannot get into it. And it's the type of thing what you do is, if you're hiking in the peninsula section of the Bruce Trail, for instance, black bear, yeah, you would put your food in there on a night and you tie it to a tree just away from camp a little bit, and any issues with bears becomes minor as far as you're concerned. Much better than sleeping or having your food in camp overnight. It's a Ursack. Look it up if you wish on YouTube or online. It's exactly what a person needs for black bear, any bear kind of food storage. And this is the Ursack large, brand new, $50. Is it a good deal? If you look online, you'll see a brand new one for $149.99 in the large size. This is brand new, $50. If you're interested in either of those, just leave a message below. Your contact information. My email, trailnamejasper@gmail.com. It's trailnamejasper@gmail.com. You can drop me a line and we can arrange payment and shipping. By the way, those prices, $325 for the Garmin InReach and $50 for the Ursack, do not include shipping. That would be extra, but the prices are great. Okay. Oh, and of course there's no tax. Keep that in mind, no tax. And the easiest thing is just to e-transfer funds. Easiest thing. Okay, I just wanted to run that by you guys. A couple of items that I have for sale. Both brand new. Excellent, as new, mint condition, brand new. Okay, let's keep going down this trail. Heading back down the gravel kind of country road lane that we started out on. The only difference is this time we're descending and we're not climbing. Speaking of climbing, total elevation gain on today's hike was around 2,250 feet. So nothing major by any means, but still 2,250 feet. Distance today, once back at the car, around 15 miles, 24 and a half kilometers, which is about my average on a thru hike overall. So again, not a major day by any means, but still, we know we've done it. Hey, Jasper here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have had a blast. I have enjoyed myself immensely. The weather has been nice. It's supposed to start raining tomorrow. It rained last night, hence the trail was a little muddy today, which surprised me, because normally this time of year it's quite dry. But anyhow, yeah, so the rest of the week is supposed to be kind of a rainy week, although I think it's going to be on and off. We'll see what happens. I'd like to get some bike miles done this week too. I do have some work to do this week with Joanne in her cleaning business. I help her, so I think we have 2 or 3 houses that I work on with her. They're the bigger houses, and of course I do collect a wage for that. Joanne has a lot of trouble sometimes, like a lot of businesses, hiring and keeping cleaning staff, so I do help her on a part-time basis, and I earn whatever her cleaning girl would earn for that particular work. I think the following week I'm due to start. I've got to confirm this yet, but I think a week on Monday I'm going to be back on the school buses for the interim. I had thought about doing other things, but the school buses seem to always crop up and be the most convenient thing to get back into to start earning a wage again. So yeah, so those things are going to keep me busy, along with my hiking and my gym time and my biking and so on. I'm going to be active throughout the fall. I really wanted to get an overnighter in on the Bruce before I went back to the school buses, but you know what, maybe I could delay going back a little bit. We'll see what happens. Hey, Jasper here again. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you next time. You all be good. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.